There is no force equal to women determined to rise. And today's session at HSBC is all about celebrating together the amazing achievements of some of the incredible women leaders as they take us through their journey over a fireside chat. Our theme, Impact Makers, the Incredible Women, is a real tribute to all women leaders and aspiring new generation of women entrepreneurs who are gearing up to make a real difference in their respective areas of work. Hello, and a very warm welcome to the webcast. I'm Kavisha Mittal, Relationship Manager, Business Banking at HSBC India, and it is my great privilege to introduce you to our esteemed panelists and moderator for the session. I would like to start with Ms. Palvi Utagi, a founder, a CEO, and above all, a mompreneur who's a 40 under 40 title holder for India's leading sustainable childcare brand, Super Bottoms. Pallavi has over a decade of experience in marketing and brand building with brands like iPill, iSure, and more. Welcome, Pallavi. Next, we have Priyanka Khimani, founder of Khimani and Associates, one of the most coveted new age law firms. Priyanka is also the chairman of Women in Music India, a global not-for-profit organization. She's found a success not only in intellectual property practice, but has also been a model, a theater artist, and a renowned screenwriter, very famously known for her creative work for Tamanna House. Thanks for your esteemed presence today, Priyanka. We also have with us Shobha Patil, CEO, Sankey Solutions. Shobha is a role model for women aspiring to enter India's new age tech revolution. She's a seasoned IT leader with over 2 decades of experience with leading tech companies such as TCS, Atos, and Capgemini. Sankey Solutions is a next generation IT services company recognized by Deloitte as one of the 7th fastest growing technology companies in India. Pleasure to have you, Shobha. May I now introduce you to Anita Mishra, Managing Director, Head of Markets and Security Services Business for HSBC India. Anita has over 20 years of experience in global and capital markets. She has her expertise across investment banking, capital finance, and risk management. Anita has a passion for conservation and actively supports various organizations that help protect our planet's bio. A very warm welcome, Anita. Finally, let me introduce you to the moderator for today's session, Tapas Panik. Tapas is a senior corporate banker with HSBC Business Banking Team India, with immense expertise across commercial banking, startups, and trade finance. Thanks, Tapas. Over to you.
Thank you, Kavisha, and welcome to all our panelists. Firstly, wish you all a very happy Women's Day. I can't imagine to have a panel like this, a better panel like this, covering various sector, various fields. There's a great saying, right? There is no hero without her. So with that, let me start the discussion today with the theme, the incredible woman. We have 4 incredible women today with us. Let me go alphabetically to start with Pallavi. Pallavi, in fact, many congratulations for being 40 under 40. Great news. In fact, I got to see a news yesterday that you're the fastest growing, on the top list, top 5 fastest growing D2C brands now in India. Many congratulations to you and your team, Super Bottoms. And I'm sure that this journey must not have been an easy one, especially with the theme which today we are discussing about how women today are taking the pole position of the leadership. Can you just share us your story, your journey? The whole session is about, how have you been able to create that impact for the society? So we are very keen to hear about your journey from being a mom to the founder and the super mom of Super Bottoms.
Thank you, Tapas, and it's a pleasure to be a part of this amazing panel and meeting all you lovely ladies. And so, Tapas, I'll to start with, I think my journey began when I had a baby, and like any new mother, I had a few choices in terms of how do I do my parenting, what do I choose, and that's when Super Bottoms happened. As a new mother, I went out looking for a job. I was on a maternity break at that time, but I wanted a job closer to my home. And as a person in marketing, I was ghosted as soon as people came to know that I was a new mother. Right. And that is when I decided that, new mothers, I will make sure that we'll employ as many new mothers as possible if I ever start my company and if it ever becomes that big. So when cloth diapers happened and super bottoms happened, I think the first thing we did was we reached out to mothers who were very smart women who were on a break because they had a baby, and we reached out saying, hey, listen, you need some flexibility in working. Why don't you join super bottoms? We give you flexibility, and because you're so, they are talented, they work for us. And I think today most of the women, most of the people in my team are women, and most of them are new mothers, and the work ethic and the result orientation and the way they work, the passion they bring is unmatched. So considering it's Women's Day, I thought I'll start with sharing this story, and this has been one of the highlights and what has made Super Bottoms what it is today. So
Thanks, Pallavi. Uh, I think I've read about your journey, and I'm very curious to know that how come a problem. How did you take that as a problem statement? You really said, right, that you were finding a cloth diaper in the market. So there are many international brands, right? So just tell me that as a woman, as a woman leader, I'm sure that you got a great support from your partner. But how challenging was it to navigate this journey? I think from that perspective.
Right. So, Tapas, we started looking. So, with my baby, I continuously thought of how to do a better job. As a new mother, there's always this thing about, am I doing it right? Am I taking care of my child well? At the same time, it's very taxing. So, you want something which gives you convenience as well. So, I wanted a diaper which was good for my baby, yet it was convenient. So, disposable diapers, of course, were very convenient, but not good for the baby. And Lambos were very good for the baby, but not convenient. So then we needed a product which kind of married the two. And that's when Super Bottoms was born. There's a lot of research that went into it. I spoke to probably tens and thousands of people saying which fabric works, what does not work. Reached out to some technical people, got some fabrics from India, from China, tested them. We tested 200 odd diapers on my baby. We used to record learnings every morning, saying, "Oh, this lasted so much. This leaked. This happened." And that's how the entire journey began, and that's how we developed the product. And we continue to do that today. Of course, at that time it was I and my baby. Today it's more than 100 mothers and their babies, and we continuously work with them on how do we better the product, how do we make a better diaper, how do we take better care of our kids in terms of and also the planet. One of the core values, and because it's a team of mothers, is about leaving a better planet for our children. And it's so ingrained that it's sustainability is not just a word for us, it's far more. We try to do it at every stage, and people fight for it. Our customers fight back saying, why are we doing this, or why are we not doing it? And I think that has also been a core theme in the entire journey of Super Bottoms. That's how we have grown. I think.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
very inspirational. Let me move to Priyanka here. I think from where Pallavi has just shared us a cue, right? Motherhood. From there, in fact, let me understand your journey, Priyanka. I think there's a lot of articles about you, there's a lot of videos about you. I think I want to know that why do people say that Priyanka's journey started from Mahim, and today and she's a I would say internationally sought after IP lawyer. It's very difficult to get the time of Priyanka. That's what I come to know from a lot of my law friends today. They said, oh, you're interviewing Priyanka, so did you get a time? Absolutely. So very interesting, and there's a lot of things to I want you to talk about is I understand you are a bio student. You went from a bio to a law grad. Again, two different streams, no connections. Then you went to Bollywood. You started your career as a script writer. Tamanna House, who does not know about it, is a 2004-5 big series, right? And ZTV used to be the sort of the channel at that point of time, and they still do. But that became overnight success. From there again, what is this U-turn, and where today you are also chairperson of Women in Music, right? So you're the voice. So there are a lot of things which you're doing, but how can you manage your time, and then what motivates you?
Well, first of all, you make time for the things that matter to you, right? So I think you prioritize your time. If you don't, then others are going to prioritize it for you. So I think one lesson I've learned the hard way is know when to say no, right? You can't make time for everything and anything, and there's a finite amount of time in your day. But just quickly, sort of to answer your question, I think it's been multiple chapters, right? One after the other, and I think a lot of it is just situation, circumstances that you're thrown into. I did write for a long time for film and TV, did a bunch of odd jobs in production. And I think today I wouldn't have the practice that I have. A large part of what I do is entertainment, advise a lot of talented entities across film, TV, music, tech, and so on and so forth. And I think it's all of my learnings, whether it was failure, whether it was struggle, but just doing a lot of odd jobs, being on a set, being in and out of a broadcaster's office, and just picking up from everything you see around you, right? So you take all of those learnings, and it led me to this beautiful journey that I would have never thought of years ago. And today I think the goal, it just brings me so much joy that we are one of the few entirely female-led, female-run law firms in the country, especially in a country like India, and in a profession as perceived to be as aggressive and stereotyped to no end as the law. Right? You think that, okay, you're a female and you're an attorney, you have to be argumentative, you're aggressive, you're not pleasant to deal with, and so on and so forth. And every single time that someone sends me a message saying, Priyanka, your girls are like tigers, it makes me super happy. And it's just that journey that you enjoy, and you set the right culture.
I really like this last statement. Your girls are like the tigers. Yes, they should be. All girls should be like tigers. Let me move on to Shobha. Shobha, hi Shobha. Thanks for joining. Again, I would say a leader who has seen multi faces of technologies. In fact, you are the pioneer in the technology solutions. In fact, what I hear from a lot of many people whom I've interacted in Sankey is that you are having a great career in US, right? You and your husband were sitting pretty well, doing pretty well there. What made you think about getting back to the motherland, starting something like Sankey Solutions, and today taking it to the Deloitte list of the top 7 companies to watch out for in the technology space? Not only in India, I think you are also, if my numbers is correctly, I think you are in the top 50 list or 51 in terms of the APAC region IT companies today in India.
That's correct. So thank you, Tapas, for having me. And I think a lot of this credit goes to our, partnership thinking that I had carried with my husband. So I've been born and brought up in Mumbai. We always had this desire, to reach out, go beyond, and stretch ourselves. So I think that took us apart from our motherland. But I think gone there, seeing there, our brains being used there, we knew what we could do for our own country. And it was also to tap into the real talent that is in the rural parts of India, which do not get those privileges. So I think that was the main reason why Sankey Solutions was born. It was my husband's brainchild in back when we established it in our own living room in 2015. And it started with the desire that it should be unlike any other IT services company. It should be beyond just thinking technology mindset, but turning it over onto solution mindset. It should be ingrained with solving business problems using technology as an enabler. And in the fast-paced technology world, where things keep changing with a blink of an eye, I think it was required that we have that, turnaround in the way of thinking. And for that, we needed fresh talent. We went to rural parts of India where they don't get as many opportunities, and they are super brains, right? They just need that platform. And I think this was the intention Sankey Solutions was formed, that we just had to do a little bit of hard work to go hone that kind of talent for ourselves, and give them that platform, give them those tools, those backgrounds, and much needed experience that will help them to get there, right? So we have got good validations from the work we have done for multiple customers, be it Fortune 50 kind of clients or even be startups, and that has led to the success in this journey. And most of that credit goes to my husband and his partner. But yes, I have been a part of this dream right from the beginning, and I'm looking forward to scale it to newer heights.
Absolutely fantastic. In fact, you're carrying ahead those dreams, those ambitions to the next level, and all the strength to you, Shobha. Let me go to Anita. In fact, very well-known name in the HSBC circles, a global banker, worked across continents. So Anita, I think my question would be more. There are a lot of new joiners who look at you as an inspiration in the team, right? So you are part of the top decision making body for HSBC in India, and it really feels so good to have you there. Tell me one thing, Anita, how has this journey been for you? You've worked across borders, right? How different or difficult, how easy was it to come to this level? What's your experience on this, Anita?
Thanks, Tapas. And I think at the outset, thanks for having me here. Just listening to the incredible stories here, it actually makes me quite humbled. And, I'm not going to get, great firecracker story here. I think, to answer your question, the initial part of my career, I never thought that I was a woman, so I was either disadvantaged or advantaged or anything. I think part of the credit goes solely to my mother. She's always been the kind who's been, let's go and get it done, and she doesn't take no for an answer at all, right? So I've always had that and assumed that and taken that for granted. So the initial part of my career, I never even felt that there is a difference or anything like that. And as you get to more senior levels, and as you saying, I think in the last 5-10 years, we've given a lot of focus to diversity, all for very good reasons, and all for, a lot of effort has gone in. And that kind of makes you think, right? So for example, if you asked me 10 years back, and I would say women who grew up in urban India and got good education are probably an advantaged lot, and women who grew up in rural India and did not, and have to walk 5 kilometers, to get things done and this thing, are not. But it's not as simple as just those two. And you realize in terms of, the unconscious or the subconscious biases, and you realize there are certain biases even within you. Like, so for me, as a, if I'm holding myself back in meetings, is that because I'm a woman? Is that because I have a perceived sense of, maybe I shouldn't speak and things like that? So you start looking at it from that perspective. I have to say, I've received a lot of support in HSBC. I've had more male bosses than female bosses, obviously, given just at the stage this industry is in, but it's moving in the right direction, and I've got immense support from them. I've got the opportunity, and so it's not been terribly difficult for me. But what I've also understood is that today it does take an effort to get women to be excited about investment banking and markets. So somewhere in the last 15-20 years, or maybe even before that, through the 40s, 60s, and reading all those novels around Michael Lewis, etc., you feel that it's a man's domain, basically, right? And I think that needs to change, right? So and I'll give you an example. In the new age businesses, you don't see that problem so much, because the new age businesses started when you already had a very good idea about diversity. So they started more at or less at an unequal footing, I would say, right? Whereas an old age business like banking, there is still a lot of work to be done. So I think for me, the biggest, I think, change in me is that consciousness that I have, and what can I do to actually not just look at numbers of women in banking or something, but how to get women in these kind of frontline investment banking positions and get them to really love it as much as I do.
Thanks, Anita. I think very valuable inputs. Thanks. Pallavi, I think let me go back to you. You spoke about sustainability. In fact, this is also a very close and related topic for us, especially in today's time, as countries are working towards their carbon goals. Tell me, there are two questions to it. One is, how easy or difficult is it to convince somebody about sustainability? Because I'm sure that today still people need a lot of awareness. And second question to this is that you also have a lot of moms, the women as your, I would say, influencers plus customers, because most of these decisions on clothing or diapers, etc., are taken by women. How easy or how difficult is it, when you started pitching this idea to them, and especially when your target audience is largely women? What is that extra edge you had to create a brand like Super Bottoms for them?
Okay, so Tapas, to answer your first question, sustainability, while people do understand that something has to be done, it will be done only if it is convenient. So one thing that we are very clear of is a sustainable solution will not become mainstream and will remain niche unless it is convenient, right? And affordable and available, etc. So, even you see a lot of sustainable options and alternatives to a lot of things coming up, but unless they are convenient and affordable, they don't get adopted. And that is something we need to be very clear of if we really want to make a difference. Of course, there are a lot of people who go out of the way and don't mind spending a few extra bucks, etc., but they are very few. And I think to make it really mainstream, we will have to make sure that there are more brands coming in, more products coming in, policies, etc. Of course, help. But I think that's one key thing if you want to get sustainability through the door. At the same time, I also believe that every single step matters. So you don't have to do big things. Even there's a saying that it's not few people doing a lot of things around sustainability, but a lot of people doing even small things around sustainability that will make a difference. And I think that has stuck. And these are some of the things I think will help take it there. The other thing also is that we usually think short term, right? We think immediate. We don't think that, what am I doing today and how is it going to impact the planet after 10 years, 20 years? We don't do that. It's very difficult for us to do that anyway. I think that is also a problem. We think more short term and not long term, and that is also a challenge. So even if you tell people that after 10 years there will be so much crisis, they'll think, okay, but what about now? Right now, I need a convenient thing to carry. I'll use a plastic bag. And what difference does one bag make? So these are some of the things I think we need to address and keep talking. I think there are a lot of dialogues happening around this is a good thing to start with. And coming to the second part, convincing a mother to adopt a sustainable solution, I think the first step for us was to make it good for her baby. If it was not good for the baby, it was not going to get adopted because it is better for the planet. Somehow that doesn't happen. So the first step was good for your baby and for the planet. And that is what got it across to them. And of course, mothers are so connected that they talk to each other. And one, if likes it, they tell 10 others. And thankfully, even fathers are getting involved in this now. This is something we are seeing, and it's amazing to see that equal parenting is actually catching up. So I think it's connected. Everyone is connected. Parents talk to each other a lot about things, and that helps us a lot in getting the word across.
Yeah, that takes me to Priyanka here. The right way, I think there are a lot of allies now. Now men are becoming allies for this movement, Priyanka. So you being a torchbearer in a lot of NGOs, right? You're helping, the girl voice to come out. Especially, just tell me, Priyanka, the industry which you work with, entertainment, music. Do you feel that there are still a lot of stereotyping in this sector or this industry? And my leading question to this is that what made you think that you want all girl tigers in your team?
Well, I'll take the first one, right? As far as stereotype or bias is concerned, I'm going to say yes and no, right? I say yes because, as you grow and as you reach a certain stage, I think I tend to see that and experience that or pick up on that a little more than I would have in my younger days. Like something Anita mentioned when she was talking earlier is, your default position is to think that the opportunity is gender neutral. And even today, my advice to most young girls and women out there is that you don't need to let the bias in your head, right? You need to think that every opportunity that comes your way is gender neutral. You're all starting on the same footing. What matters is merit, talent, right? The skill set to do a certain thing. Knowledge. I feel there's no replacing all of these core qualities that you need. I would, now looking back at it, perhaps some part of it was also naive because I did see a time where as and when I started acting for more and more relevant names in the business, I would be made to sit out of deals. There were, and I won't name entities, but there was a time where it was, almost told to the client that no, you cannot have Priyanka act for you on this deal. We would rather drop you, and you can't have the deal if you have someone like her negotiating it. And it would be baffling to me. And this is also at a time where the entertainment industry was still relatively old school in terms of their practices, in terms of uh, dealing with lawyers. Why do you need someone to negotiate this? It's all relationship driven, right? So it would become very challenging for me to try and preserve those relationships. Why I say no, that there are also no stereotypes, is because I certainly wouldn't have gotten to where I am today had it not been for the support of a lot of men who've championed me, supported me, been, kind enough and bold enough to tell me that, hey, Priyanka, I understand what you're doing, but perhaps this is a more strategic way of doing it, right? And it's interesting because all said and done, they do outweigh us today in the workforce, especially within entertainment. As far as the top tier is concerned, you do have more male executives than female executives. So it's nice to get that perspective, to hear how to deal with challenges the way a man would have dealt with it, right? And then of course you take it and make it your own. You sort of see what works for you and what doesn't. So I would say, therefore, yes and no, that for just as many stereotypes and just as much bias that there exists, I do find that I've made a lot of male friendships and found a lot of male mentors and champions that have helped me navigate these stereotypes. And to your next point about the law firm, no, the idea was to never have I don't think you go out there and think that I'm going to build an all women's law firm. It doesn't work like that. But interestingly, whenever I would recruit, and this is an experience I have till date, I find it far more difficult to recruit male attorneys than I do female attorneys, right? I feel that they're the ones to react more quickly to things like my seniority, my position, my gender, especially when I've noticed if I'm interviewing men who are more senior than I am in the profession. It is with this sort of attitude that, but I don't feel comfortable working for you. And in fact, I remember early in the day, I did have some senior executives put in their papers overnight saying, no, I just can't fathom the idea of having to work with a female boss that is so many years younger than me in the profession. It's either that or a lot of young lawyers who just treat it as if, it's some sort of treated with so much casualness that it completely puts me off. I'd much rather not meet them at all. So I think it's a result of all of these different experiences that I've ended up recruiting more women than men.
Perfect. Thank you. I hope this mindset keeps changing and people look at it with much more, wider eyes and thought. And maybe, it's like a male should be a strong ally of women leadership here. Let me go to Shobha. Shobha, I think you come from an industry which is technology-based industries, right? Software. And generally, I would say this is one of those positive sectors in creating diversity. Today, if I look at the top 5-10 names today in the country or globally also, I think they're close to, around the data says, close to 30%, 35% of the workforce is women, which is a very, very positive sign. And I think this is growing at a 15-20% CAGR year on year. And you being coming from that forefront of leading teams globally as well as in India now with Sankhi, where do you see this trend in India? While globally the trend is more heartening to see, but in India, do you see that the trend is catching up? Today, a lot of Indian tech companies are looking at diversifying their workforce. There are a lot of women participation today in the leadership position. While there are a lot of women in the executive position, but from the leadership point of view, are you seeing that trend catching up?
So frankly, situation in India is a lot better than at the global front. And I feel that we are catching up a lot. We see a lot of women participating up to executive level, but I think suddenly there is a drop when it comes to C-suite or that kind of positions.
more so maybe there is balance in life, or there are different kind of situations that women come to forefront with, right? And they have to make some conscious choices in their life. So I think the trend is better. I mean, I will not say only in IT sectors, but in many sectors, we are seeing a lot of entrepreneurs. We are all seeing a lot of in the technical field, at least we see a lot of zeal coming from young female students to people who grow up to the executive leadership. But I think when it comes to balancing family life and maybe some other trends, it is a conscious choice that they take. And I think that has been one deterrent that we need to put away. Sometimes, I think, and I think maybe this COVID pandemic was, a mirror showcase for us. I think because I think with working in TCS in my background, I saw many people, many young ladies, confronted with traveling, to office as one of their main issues when they had to take care of their families behind and everything. But working from home made life so simpler for them, at least. So I think that has changed the paradigm where women are more comfortable working in the home environment and at the same time focus and balance both. And I think as traditionally women have been always labeled as balancers, right? And naturally it comes to them, and I think that is our forte. We have to do that. I don't think, and I would like to quote my husband always here, that he used to say that you are a more superwoman than I am. I cannot do so many things. You are a natural multitasker, right? And I think it is not just me, all the women credit to that. And I think we have more power to balance that, and we should use to that our potential. And I would like to say to all the leaders in the becoming, especially the women leaders, that they need to see things from a different perspective. Only if you can only solve the problems that you face, no one else is going to come to your straight. But if you you cannot just, life can put you in so many different situations. Having experienced it myself, I think it could go down or up, but your perspective will make a lot of difference how you face it, right? So I think it's all in you, it's all in your hands, and how you empower. And of course, I think when they say behind every successful man there is a woman, I feel that behind every successful woman there is always a man too. Because as same as Priyanka, I have experienced a lot of male mentors and champions who have always, given me that light to go forward. And I think we are living in an equal world, and I see that more men coming forefront to be it equal parenting, as we said, as well as coming to ours where the diversity is in question. There are many male champions who are throttling this idea forward. I happen to be part of Iron Lady program, and the whole point is that it's led by Rajesh Bhatt, who is the CEO of Iron Lady, and he wants to revolutionize the way of million women leaders, right? So that's the dream, and he is a man in the championing that thought. So I think there is no bar to it. I think women empowerment is just not something that women supporting women. I think the impact makers can be male too, just that we need to change the perspective. And third thing, I think we as parents, we as mothers, I think we carry a greater responsibility how you inculcate this futuristic view in our kids, be it boy or a girl. I think I have a son, so I always indulge that idea that you are, and you have to treat women as your equal. It doesn't matter. And that is something we all need to do, so that we create a better future for ourselves and empower women in the becoming.
Thanks, Shobha. Yes, empowering women is the theme, and naturally it comes to us as a bank. In fact, when I was thinking about, I was just writing about on a piece of paper, how do I, formulate this whole session, and the first thought it came. I was watching, the Incredibles movie with my daughter, and I said, "Ki the word actually fits the Incredible woman. In fact, they are the impact makers." So let me go to Anita. Anita, tell me about how, from a bank's perspective, I think again a leading question from Shobha. I think a bank is also part of services sector. How is our bank doing in terms of diversity, in terms of creating more balance, in terms of giving more opportunities to women workforce?
Yeah, so I think we have seen a lot of focus over this in the last few years. One of the things that you first do is, when you know there's work to be done and you have to deliver, is you need to set a target. Now, the target is not set because that's where we want to stop. The target is set so that you have at least the minimum goals that we need to deliver and in a time bound manner. So we as a bank have set those targets, right, globally as well as in INM, in terms of what is the percentage of women, and not just as a whole, but in each of the bandings that we have, from junior to senior, most this thing that has been very important, providing. And then, because when you have a target and then you look at the different phases in which there are, so if somebody is like an analyst or an associate or AD, you need to address it differently, right? So someone like an analyst or an associate needs more buddyship, more mentorship, needs a lot more exposure essentially to basically step into an associate and AD, leaving behind the bias, right? So you want to create that culture around the entry level, where you really don't have the need to keep correcting things. It should at some point come naturally to the firm, and that's one of the goals, right? Is how do we create a more neutral mindset around this whole thing, right? And Secondly, at the AD levels, and at the director levels, the associate director and director levels, and at the MD levels, it's again a lot about things like succession planning, right? Taking a very hard look at how we are planning for succession, right? I think as a bank we've done a very good job of it in the last few years, in terms of see, like you need to not have key people risks anyways in the system, and then on top of that you need to look at where are my biases? Am I being biased in who I'm thinking as successor, etc. And even within succession planning, we have things like ready now, ready in 2 years. What are the kind of trainings is needed? A lot of focus on women leadership programs. So again, at the associated director level and at the director level, there are a number of leadership programs that we are running. We have started in India this year, from last year onwards, or I think from 2020, a return to work program, which I am a very big supporter of. And I think our human resources team has done an incredible job in explaining that program and its goals to people like us, who can then enable it further. And for me, it's about giving that chance to somebody who's left work few years back due to whatever circumstances, and now wants to come back to the workforce. So giving that right exposure, that right channel for them to rejoin that. So that's something I think the bank can be really proud of, and something that's very thing. We have we have talent books again, where with the diversity lens that we see. But as somebody said, it's a series of doing a lot of these big things that we do at, say, the executive committee level, etc., and policies, and the focus and the targeted approach. But it's a lot also about day-to-day behavior, right? So day-to-day behavior, I am seeing, for example, my team's coming up and telling me, this is what we should do, this is what we should do. Somebody would come and say, let's have this buddy mentor thing. So I think just that awareness that we've created, by making this topic so relevant and top of the mind, is very important, and we should continue doing this, because there's still a lot of work to be done across our industry, across society, in terms of where we want to reach. And then again, there is no goalpost, like I said, right? I mean, 50-50 is not really a goalpost again, because for hundreds of years we've been 80-20 on the other side, or 90-10, right? So, but it's a good target to have in the near term. And then it would be great if it's again it's all women, and or 80-20 or kind of a thing, right? Sky's the limit.
Sky is the limit. Perfect. So that comes to then takes me to the final round. I would call it as a rapid fire round. I think you just got 10 seconds to answer. I think I'm looking at the timer here. So these questions have not been framed. Nothing. I think this is very instant. So let me go around the table. Let me start with Pallavi. Pallavi, one role model, one woman role model you aspire to, and why?
I would say my mother has been a major inspiration, and like Anita mentioned, like she always taught me that there is no reason to hold yourself back. She was always one of those people who went ahead, coming from very basic background. So I think she's the one.
Perfect. Thank you. Priyanka, this is not going to be the same question for you. So you were
Damn it.
actually going back in your mind.
I was
Okay.
like thinking,
So the
yeah,
question
I
to
was
you,
like,
yeah, the question to you is that one woman role model from the entertainment industry in India,
Lata
and why?
Mangeshkar. Lata Mangeshkar, undoubtedly, for one big reason. I wouldn't have had the career that I have had it not been for her. For those of you who don't know, she was my first ever client. Before then, I was doing commercial litigation, doing shipper and maritime law. She was that one phone call with her changed my life. And I know we say boss lady and boss woman today. I feel she is original boss lady. I've had the privilege of knowing her, working with her for almost a decade, and I can't think of anyone better than her.
Absolutely. Tribute to the Bharat Ratna Lata Mangeshkar ji. Shobha, I think the question to you here is, who is your inspiration when it comes to women in technology?
So for women in technology, actually there are many, but if you're asking me for one, I have my role model as Indra Nooyi, but in technology specifics, I have many, as I said, and it could be it is Shanta Subramani, who was my erstwhile boss at TCS, and she currently leads a chief security cyber security practice at TCS. She was a person who I look up to. Though I had a lot of, she told me how to fight for what you want, and how to believe in yourself. I think that's the reason I see her as a strong lady who I can look up to.
Perfect. Thank you. So Anita, you're not going to the same question. So I think the question for you is slightly different. I know you are a sports enthusiast, and there's a lot of you are a wildlife photographer also. So tell me, who is your motivation or your inspiration, especially from being a woman who have inspired you to get into this choice of a hobby. So was there specific a person whom you have admired to, who looked at whom you always thought that this is what somebody like I want to be in outside my work life?
Well, it's strange. I mean, not with my photography thing. There has actually not been one inspiration. If you follow photography, you'd actually follow a number of people and a number of handles and try to understand the way they look at light. And also, there have been women and this thing. But there's been a set of women, and this is not one person. These are faceless women that I am very inspired by, and these are women who are basically safari guides. So my husband and I are very passionate about wildlife, etc., and this thing. And the one thing that just amazes me is, and they constitute, so when you think of biases, we're talking about 20-30% women getting to 50%. Only 1 to 5% of the safari guide industry is actually women. These are women who are going out in the bush with a gun in their hand, which they don't ever want to use, and trying to protect their clients, going on walking safaris, hearing the animals, hearing the bush, and making it. So it's just unbelievable, and the passion with which they do it. I'd really think, and the first time I was guided by a woman safari guide, I was so impressed, and I was like, okay, and this is what I should choose, make a deliberate attempt, just in my way of supporting them, because and for them the biases are, as I said, 3-4 times more, but just seeing them out in the field and working the elements, it's very inspirational.
Perfect. I think cheers to all the women. I think more power to her. I think with that note, in fact, probably we will end the session. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Just let's do one thing. This year's theme is break the bias. I think there's a theme, and let's take a I would say a screenshot of, because we are on Zoom, so we are not in person. I think this time the theme and the sign as per the UN is this. So I think let's do this, and may I request Kavisha also to join, and maybe we can take a screenshot and close the session for today. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. I'm sure that this session would have been a great inspiration to all the viewers who are going to see this, and I'm sure that many will get motivated. Thank you so much. I think if someone can just
What
take a
is the sign?
screenshot,
Is it
that will
right?
be of
I hope I'm doing it right.
yes.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Thank you.